Hey, Nélo Life. It's not an unusual thing for me to say, I don't think I have all the answers. I don't think I'm all that. As it relates to the content that I'm about to deliver to you, I do have all the answers and I do know it. I probably know it as well as anybody that you're going to interact with. Before we walk into this series of behaviors, what I've long described as the 10 steps to getting started correctly and the ladder of escalation, I want to comment a little bit on one of the recurring themes that I hear, and that is, well, the industry has changed. The industry has changed. I say, well, no kidding. Every day that life goes by, something changes. I think back to when I was first introduced to the industry. At that point in time, companies, the big ones were Amway, and the new ones on the horizon were New Skin and so on. And there was a major change that was going on. What was the change? The change was that until New Skin and Herbalife and a handful of other companies of its era, companies only paid three generations in depth. And so there was very little focus on building deep in organizations. The primary focus was on recruiting wide and having people be very, very close to you and pay out. And then it was a major shift, a complete total shift in the way that the business was perceived and the way that it worked when companies came along and said, no, we believe that it's about developing leadership structures. We want to pay more in depth because we know leadership is scarce. Well, that was a major change. It was a huge change in the way that everything works. And we go along a little bit. When I first got involved in the industry, literally every company that was functioning in it was operating a compensation mechanism called a stair-step breakaway plan. I'll bet it's been at least 25 years since any company launched with a stair-step breakaway plan. And that was supplanted by compensation mechanisms that were dramatically dissimilar, from binary to then cycling binary, and on it goes. Well, the point of it is I could now spend our entire time together talking to you about all of the dramatic changes that have occurred in the industry since I first got involved. Has the industry changed? Yes, it has changed. It has been a continuing, ongoing, never-ending process of change, and we're just now involved in the continuation of that process of change. This, for me, is no different. It's the way that it's always been. The principles that grow a business are unchanged. Most of the behaviors are unchanged. There are a few behaviors that change based on whether one is building in depth or whether one is trying to build closer to himself or herself. In our company, both of those become appropriate because we have both front end money available for the affiliate model and developing depth and leadership structures. But the first thing that I want to say is that the cop out excuse that is the excuse of the day, things have changed. Folks, it's always been changing. It's never stayed the same. Yes, things have changed. For the last 33 years in a row, things have changed. And for the next 500 years in a row, things will change. And so let's set aside that. That's not an excuse. It's not even an explanation. It's literally a waste of breath. Have things changed? Yes. They've changed every year of my career. And are they going to continue changing? Yes, absolutely. The thing that has not changed throughout that period of time is that year after year after year after year after year, last year being the 29th consecutive year in a row, I've earned over $1 million in network marketing commissions. And so you see, it's not whether or not things change, it's whether or not we adapt to the change. It's whether or not we find a way to make the change to our advantage as opposed to feeling victimized by the change. Now, there's a bigger change. I'll tell you what the bigger change is. I was reflecting on this just a couple of days ago. My little boy Bosco is 7, and he's in second grade. The year that I was in third grade was the first year that I had a real job in the potato harvest. And that meant I was raised in Idaho, and that meant that for 3 weeks, that's how long the potato harvest was back then, before the combines, all the things accelerated the process and shortened the timeline. So for 3 weeks, I'd leave the house at 6 a.m. and go out in the freezing bitter cold and pick potatoes, literally picking them up off the ground and putting them in a basket, and then having to have my brother, whoever my partner was that day, help me pick the basket up to dump it into a burlap bag. What has changed is that very few young people in the American society and culture, at least, are learning how to be self-sufficient early in their life. That has changed. And that is part of the ongoing change in our industry. That has changed. There is, without question, far more of an entitlement attitude among the population today than when I was younger. The safety net, the social services net has become so much higher. Has that changed? Yes. Culture has changed, society has changed, and all that means for me is that I need to be even more selective and more astute in the winnowing process to find the person whose current willingness to work and to engage in a process is not changed by a society that has changed, where there are so many people who think they will get because they deserve, as opposed to knowing that we will get if we earn it, not because of some birthright. We will get it if we earn it, not that we deserve it because of the family that we were born into or the nation that we were born into and so on. Now, if any of that I just said sounds negative, it's not at all. It's just reflective of things that have changed, but they don't change really anything about my business building practices. And throughout all of these years, and by the way, that's not been an immediate change either, has it? The societal change I've just described has been a slow, steady, gradual change. Change has been going on the entire time of my career. There's not been a time when things were not changing. And that change has been going on in society throughout my career, just as it's been going on in the network marketing industry throughout my career. So let us set aside once and for all and forever this idea that, oh my gosh, it's more difficult now because things have changed. It is not more difficult now. It was difficult 33 years ago. It was difficult 23 years ago. It was difficult 13 years ago. It was difficult last year, and it will be difficult next year. And that's why the rewards are so great. If we ever associate ourselves with something that is not unbelievably challenging, then there will not be unbelievable rewards on the other side of that challenge for those who meet the test. The next thing I just want to say quickly in passing, most of you know, many of you know, that I do have a focus group that is ongoing right now. And for any of you who are part of that focus group, I invite you to listen to tonight's content, but this content could not be viewed as a replacement to the focus group content, which is very specific to that group of people who have gathered there for. Okay, that being said, and people who have met the requirements and so on to be there. That being said, I want to help you, whoever you are, understand what the process is that creates success. I'm not going to spend any time at all trying to convince you that you should engage yourself in the process. What I'm looking for is that person or those people who want success as badly as they want to breathe. I'm looking for that person or those people who are not willing to count upon the largesse of the government to provide income along the way. I'm not looking for that person who says, well, I can always rely upon I'm not looking for the one who says I can always rely upon whatever the benefits are that keep the heat off. No, I'm looking for the person who says, I want to pretend that there are no social service safety nets in America. I want to, and by the way, I'm talking to people I know who will mostly review this live, will be people in the United States of America, and it is to the USA population that this message is principally delivered this evening. But the content, the concepts will be delivered are appropriate for people all over the world. I'm looking for the person who says, I am not entitled to anything. That which I get is something that I must earn. I'm looking for the person who does not say, I cannot because I have some disadvantage. I'm looking for the person instead who says, I'm going to find a way to turn every single life experience that I believed was not good for me at the time into advantage. And I am willing to learn, grow, develop, and become that which I must to get the key in the lock of success, not just in this company, but in life. Okay, that said, many years ago, I was taught a 10-step process. And now, 33 years later, 33 years where there have been tremendous societal changes, unbelievable the changes. 30 years in which there have been unbelievable big changes in the demographic makeup of society and culture. 33 years in which the network marketing industry itself has changed. Of course it has. I just described. It changes. It has every year since I've been involved. But now I'm looking for the one who says, what I want to do is apply these principles and practices that have been proven to work. When Randy says there's a proved and predictable pattern of activities, my own career proves that. This is not concept. This is a fact. This is reality. I'm looking for the one who says, Randy, teach me, show me how to develop, how to refine the talents that I have into skills which will become beneficial to other people, such that my outcome can be predicated upon the positive outcomes of other people, and show me how to utilize the same process that you, Randy, learned 33 years ago, a process that has gradually and subtly amended itself as we go along to make it current with whatever societal changes and norms and industry changes were 10 years into my career and 20 years into my career and 25 and now 34 years. Unbelievable. Just a few, I guess about 10 weeks from now, cross over that 34-year mark. So we'll describe the 10 steps to getting started correctly. Now, this evening, I am not talking about leadership development. That's another concept. The real rewards are reserved for those who develop leadership attributes. And then the turbocharged, supercharged, over the top rewards are reserved for those who don't just develop leadership capacities, but who then learn how to foster, grow, and develop other leaders such that the ripples spread, no longer as a result of the unique talents, knowledge, skills of the principal leader who then sets the way and makes the path for the others. Okay. So the first thing that we must do is not just enroll. Yes, it is to enroll. That's part of it. It is to enroll in NELO Life, but it's more than that. It is to enroll in NELO Life and then create what I describe as a mental and emotional barrier of exit. Why is this so important? What do I mean by that? All of you imagine now for a moment. And by the way, I need to state too that this cannot be your new member orientation. Why? Because it's me talking to a camera. It's not you and I having a conversation. I don't know you. I don't know your life experience. I don't know your current needs. And so I would say that this can cover about 75% of the ground that would be covered in a proper new member orientation. But the other part is unique to you. And so it'll be important for you to take this information and then find someone in your leadership structure that can help you personalize these thoughts into something that is specifically tailored to help you meet your goals and objectives. Well, it's not just to enroll, but it's to create a mental and emotional barrier of exit, one that replaces the fact that there was not a financial barrier of entry. If there is no financial barrier of entry, there is likewise no financial barrier of exit. And this explains in simple form why people throughout the network marketing industry, not just now today in our company, but throughout the network marketing industry, instead of doing the business, they try the business. See, no one buys a Subway franchise and tries it. They don't. No one opens a bowling alley and tries it. They don't open a Panda Express and try it. They don't open a real estate brokerage and try it. Why? Because the investment was too great. There was such a big financial investment that there was no choice but to modify and course correct and make the required changes such that we can succeed. If I open a Subway shop and my Subway sandwich shop is underperforming other Subway sandwich shops, then what do? Do I blame Subway? No. The franchise model is the same, isn't it? For every single person that's in it, the model is the same. And so what is the difference? The difference is in the skill and the effectiveness, the efficiency of the operator. And so in any other business, what we do is refine our own skills. We find out what are we doing wrong. We get better because people who operate within this business model do succeed. Because there's no financial barrier of entry. You didn't spend $250,000. You didn't put a second mortgage on your home to get involved in this business. Then there must be something else that causes you to stay in the game the day you realize it's hard. And folks, if you didn't realize it's hard yet, let me say it again. It was hard 33 years ago. It was hard 23 years ago. It was hard 13 years ago. It was hard a decade ago. And it's hard today. Anything that has a great potential outcome is hard. That's the way it is. I've not yet met a single person who, when they walked in the door, had the combination of knowledge, skills, and character, desire, willingness to work, personal timing, all that is required. I've never met one person that had it all in place when they joined me. It's always been a process of becoming. And so what we must have is a mental and emotional barrier of exit that is bigger than any obstacle we might encounter between here and accomplishing our goals. And so I always state what mine is. And as you can tell already, we could be here all night, and I'll do my best to keep this somewhat concise. But mine is very simple. I require of myself. I didn't say I want, I have a goal, I have a wish, I have a dream. No, I require of myself that I have established during this last chapter of my career an ongoing residual income based no longer upon recruiting. The recruiting mechanism needs to turn hard enough and fast enough during the time that I have left on my runway. I'm 67 years old. How long is my productive runway? I don't know. Is it 10 more years? Is it 15? Is it 2? Is it 10 months? I don't know. That is why I work at such a frenetic pace, because I don't know how long my runway is. And by the way, folks, you don't know how long your runway is either. And that is why these are all over my house, because I reflect on walking into my grandmother's home in Sugar City, Idaho, and it seemed like every time I went there, I would hear this booming voice, like sands through the hourglass. There go the days of our lives. Well, literally and truly now, at this stage of my life, like sands through the hourglass. There go the days of my life. They seem to be running through the top of that glass to the bottom of the glass so very, very fast. And I look at a 7-year-old, and I have got an obligation and a responsibility. When I chose to have another family at this stage of my life, there was an implied responsibility with that. And my mental and emotional barrier of exit is that I will not leave Samantha and Bosco without an enormous cash flow. Not just an investment portfolio, an enormous cash flow that assures that they will live a life of financial ease in my absence whenever that day comes. That's my mental and emotional barrier of exit. And that is bigger than any obstacle that I have encountered, that I will encounter between now and the accomplishment of that goal. If you don't likewise have a mental and emotional barrier of exit that is bigger than the obstacles you'll encounter, then you'll quit. Plain and simple. That's just it. Then you'll quit. And so you see right here at the very outset, either you'll have the willingness to think it through. What is it that's personal to you? Until such time as you, like me, do new member orientations on an almost daily basis, then I encourage you to write it down, print it out, put it on your mirror, state it, read it aloud at least once every single day until such time as you are doing very steady, consistent new member orientations so that you cannot forget. It is too easy to forget or to pretend that we forgot what the purpose was. When we come into an obstacle, we find out, wow, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. Folks, I'm telling you right now, if you have a little bit of knowledge, this will not be harder than you think it will be, because you'll know in advance that it will be hard. I sometimes am frustrated. I hear people talking about making enormous amounts of money, having tremendous life-changing experiences. And then right behind that saying, oh yeah, and it's a piece of cake. This is not so hard. There's nothing you have to, no, folks, that's not the truth. This is hard. Write it down so you heard it first. This is hard. One of the principal reasons it's hard is because we have to learn how to successfully navigate the waters of every different kind of relationship. People older than us and younger than us and more physically fit and less physically fit. And people whose skin tone is somewhat like ours and people whose skin tone is not at all like ours. People who are culturally somewhat similar to us and people who are so dramatically dissimilar. There's nothing about it that's easy. Absolutely nothing about it that's easy. So just own that. Know it. Know in advance. There's nothing about this. This is easy. It's going to be hard. Therefore, I'm going to need to be at my best if I'm going to win this race. That's step number one. Step number two is what? Step number two is to place an appropriate initial order. Now, I want to remind you all that I'm sharing with you my views. You don't need to mirror my views. I'm describing to you the things that I have done and will continue to do that have resulted in one of the most successful careers in the history of the network marketing industry on a global scale. Now, you can choose to take the information and do with it whatever you want, as little as you want or as much as you want. I will tell you that it is not an advantage that the initial entry fee that so many people pay to get involved in our business is $79. It's a tremendous disadvantage. Why is it a disadvantage? Because there is so little there's so little consideration. You know that a very, very, very large percentage of people who enroll in our company never enroll in their back office even once. So that's not reflective of a business decision. People are becoming tourists in our company. They're not becoming business owners and operators in our company by and large. That is why for me, I pretty much insist that the runway be a year long. Yes, I know it's possible to enroll a new member who joins the company for $79. And I'll tell you in advance, folks, that they're not going to make the amount of money in their first, second, or third month that causes them to say in the fourth month, I have to continue this. They put almost no money into it. Money's not going to fall out of the trees quickly. And you will find a never-ending battle to try to hold people together, to keep them in the game long enough, given there was no financial hook, to keep them in the game with constructive behaviors until such time as they start making enough money that they stay involved because of that success, or until such time as they start having such a positive personal experience. I will tell you that if you want to grow a big business that takes on some real stability in a relatively shorter period of time. When I say a relatively short period of time, I'm talking about 3 to 5 years. Right? That's a relatively short period of time in the establishment of any business, in 3 to 5 years. Then 75, 80% of all new enrollments domestically in the United States should be an annual membership. And in my own case, something more than 75 or 80% from last week going forward, annual memberships. That creates at least a little bit of a thought. It's not $79, it's $635 or whatever the number is. Well, that's different. And then that appropriate initial order. We should always be contemplating and considering one's goals, financial circumstance, willingness to work, and so on. But I will tell you that over the course of my career, in that 3.5 decades, the average over the course of that entire career has been between $2,200 and $2,500. Going clear back to the earliest days, it was $4,000 to join the company and acquire the initial product package. When we have people who join the business for $79 and don't even acquire an initial product package, you are guaranteeing in advance they're not going to make enough money quickly enough to be enthusiastic about the business 60 days from now. You're absolutely guaranteeing yourself of that truth. And so I want to guarantee myself of something very different than that. I want a person to have placed an initial order that is reflective of their goals, their financial circumstance, their willingness to work. 75 to 80% of those should be executive packs in the United States. Now, those people who are, again, reviewing this material from outside the United States, I would amend this process a little bit for depending on the market. But now I'm talking principally to a USA-based group. Folks, 75, 80% of all new enrollments from this point going forward in my group should be, and in my own case will be, annual enrollments with executive packs, 75 to 80%. You say, wait a minute, Randy, not everybody fits into that. Well, folks, we're talking about a business here. Talking about a business. We're comparing the entry fee to a McDonald's franchise. We're comparing the entry fee to what it would cost to open a medical practice. We're comparing the entry fee to what it would cost to open a Subway sandwich shop or a Panda Express, where those things are measured in the high six figures or the seven figures. Here we're talking about something less than $2,500 if one takes the most aggressive stance of all. It should be something north of 75% of all new enrollments that are annual membership. That gives you 12 months to make something good happen, 12 months for them to fall in love with the product offerings in the e-commerce site, 12 months to find out the travel portfolio really is incredible, 12 months to participate in the live streaming, the life learning, 12 months to have positive product results themselves, 12 months to see positive product results among their group, 12 months to have people in their group have rank advancements and start to make money. Give me a 12-month runway, there's a pretty good chance we succeed. A person who joins the company with an executive pack and with an annual enrollment, in all likelihood, I've now got a guaranteed 12 months as a result of the annual enrollment. Just that little bit of extra money in acquiring a product the person didn't intend to use themselves. A tumbler tips over. They're in business. They bought something that wasn't for them. It was to do what? It was to use as a recruiting mechanism or to use for a customer. Now they're in business as opposed to being a tourist in someone else's business. Step number two, because we didn't have the products at the outset, because we didn't have the annual enrollment, that means by definition, all people who joined us up until a couple of weeks ago could not properly execute step number two. It wasn't possible. Now's your chance to correct that. If you are not among those who has done an annual membership upgrade, I'm telling you right now, you should. And I know some of you are in my group and some of you are not in my group. Some of you, your results would matter to me directly financially. Some of you, your results would not matter to me directly financially. But you all matter to me in the following respect. I want people who get involved in NELO Life to have a great experience. So whomever they're interacting with, they say, oh my gosh, this has been the most wonderful thing of my life. If you have not yet upgraded to an annual membership, you are a member at risk. It means that you're quantifying, I promise you this is what's happening, you're deciding every month whether to stay active. I know what that's about. Eric talks about the membership economy. I'm fully participating in it. My credit card's on file. It seems like every storefront I drive past seems like my credit card's on file with those guys. And so every month, what do? Every month, I go back through all of my automatic debits off my credit cards, and I take a look and I say, am I using this membership? Am I using this? Am I getting out of it? Is there a gym membership that I'm not using? It wasn't too long ago, I belonged to 3 golf clubs, and I had to look at them and say, my gosh, there's 2.5 of these that I'm not using ever. I use one once in a while, the other 2 I don't use. And all those things that are just a waste and expenditure. And by the way, what was that all about? Pride and ego. Yeah, I belong to a club in California, a club here. Absolutely ridiculous. Pride and ego is the enemy of financial well-being. It took me years to figure that out. Well, that's what I thought. But I go through my credit card statements every month and I eliminate any automatic delivery or any automatic payment that I'm not using. Is it possible that a person could join us and not use their membership in the first 30 days? I will tell you that because of the $79 entry fee, people don't take the business seriously. They spend that much money or more at Starbucks 3 times a week. They go out with their friends. The truth is that a huge percentage of the people never even log into their back office. So they didn't even make a business decision. That's not what it was. Well, I would like that to change. I'd like it to change right now. If you have not yet become an annual member, then I am giving you the advice to do so. If you remain a monthly member, you will not enroll others as annual members. That means you'll be enrolling people who will every month be looking at their statements to say, am I getting $79 or $59 worth of value out of this? And you know what? It wouldn't be surprising to me if in the first month or 2 or 3, they don't even know the offerings. There'll be too many cases where the answer is no, they're not using it at all. Give us a year. Folks, if you have not upgraded to an annual membership, you are a participant at risk, and you will never enroll other people who correctly enroll, that being with an annual membership, so long as you're on a monthly membership. And I recognize, again, at least half of the people who review this content are not even in my group. I have no financial incentive whatsoever in your positive results. I have no financial gain for you to go out there and upgrade. I'm telling you, this is what you should do because it makes the business real. And you should stop enrolling people who do not acquire an enrollment package at the time of enrollment if you want to have an outcome like the outcome that I've lived throughout the course of my entire career. Now, there will be people who can teach you how to successfully function in not an organization building or a depth building process, which is what my process is. There will be those who, instead of developing leadership groups and teams, simply want to participate as an affiliate. get paid for their own productivity, not be in the recruiting mechanism. That's fantastic. I love it. I welcome you to this company, but I can't teach you how to do that. That's not something I do. And so if that's where your interest lies, then it's important for you to seek out another teacher, not me, because I cannot teach you how to do something that I have not done and that I'm not doing right now. I can teach you absolutely how to do what I am doing right now. And this is a process that has been gradually and subtly improved as the industry has changed and as society has changed over these last many years. Step number one is to enroll, create a mental and emotional barrier of exit, print it out, read it aloud every single day. Step number two, place an appropriate initial order. And I just told you that for something over 75% of the time, this should be an annual membership and an executive pack. That's what it means to place an appropriate initial order. And if that's what you do, or if you have not done that yet, then if you take the corrective action, you upgrade to an annual membership. If you didn't yet acquire that executive pack, if you do so, to the extent that's financially prudent and consistent with your goals and objectives, then you'll have the bully pulpit, so it's called. Then you can encourage others to do so because that's what you did. People will arrive at what I call their point of logical conclusion again and again and again. Well, when you enrolled, what did you do? When I enrolled, there was no annual membership, darn it. And so I couldn't enroll that way. But the moment it became available, I did because I wanted to have the runway long enough in front of me. I didn't want to make a decision every month. I just wanted to set that aside and get it out of my mind. I wanted to use this company's valuable products and services for that period of time. I wanted to give myself the best chance of the business. And the very moment that those bundles came out, that I recognized that I need to do what I would have people in my group do. If I would like people in my group to be annual members, well, I'd better become one. If I'd like people in my group to be acquiring products, not just for their own consumption, but so they would have some to offer to others to use as samples and display items. If you want people to be joining a business as opposed to a social club, then you need to do what you would have them do. And so I would encourage you, to the degree it's financially prudent, you should today, literally today, you should upgrade to an annual membership, and you should also acquire an executive pack. Now, the third step in this 10 steps to getting started correctly is I've always described it as to making a 12-month commitment to SmartShip. 12 months. It's got to be 12 months. Because why? Some things have changed and some things have stayed the same. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months is not enough time to gather the knowledge, develop the skills, and the character attributes to get the key in the lock of success. When you see someone who succeeds quickly in our business, it is not because, it is because they had some unique advantage. They had already gone through the learning curve someplace else. They had a huge amount of credibility that they could harvest. When someone gets involved and makes money quickly, it is because there was a non-replicatable advantage. I have a non-replicatable advantage. I've done what I've done for the last 33 years. Can you replicate that? Yes, in 33 years. You can't replicate that this week or this month. I have an advantage. Is it an unfair advantage? No, I've worked hard to earn that advantage. This is your moment to work hard to earn that advantage. Well, I've always said throughout that entire period of time, we must have a 12-month runway. We have to have a 12-month runway. Never until this company has that been so critically important, because never until this company have I had people enrolling for $79, and that was the size of it. Now that's being corrected. Enroll with an annual membership and acquire an executive pack. And then you'll not need to focus nearly as much on this. But still, we must have a 12-month runway. By acquiring the annual membership, that part is done, completely done. Fourth, it is to do a complete, total back office review. I don't know this for sure, but I'm willing to bet that if I could jump through this camera and get face to face with you, if I were to say, hey, can you show me right now in the back office in the next 90 seconds, can you show me where the policies and procedures are printed? Can you show me where the short form of the compensation plan is? Can you show me where the long form of the compensation plan is? Could you right now just point to me where I can find the Stellamar video? Could you show me right now where I could find the video that explains the compensation plan by Nick Sorensen? Right now, could you go into the back office and could you show me where the policies and procedures are? For 95% of the participants in our company, the answer to that would be, well, no, I don't know that stuff. Think this through for a second. If you'd spent $500,000 to join our business, do you suppose you'd know the policies and procedures? Yeah, you would. Do you suppose you'd know every single rule? Would you understand the way the compensation plan works? Would you understand how all the social media platforms work and function? Yes, you would. This, again, I come back to the fact that $79 entry fee is not an advantage. It is not. It can be a disadvantage. We can turn it back into an advantage by recognizing that that should be something that is sparingly used. It should be an annual membership with an executive package. And now we still have the benefit of being able to offer for those people for whom it would be financially irresponsible to do anything more than that simple $79 enrollment. And we also have an opportunity to help those people who really are not interested in making a lot of money, but who would like to have a little income possibility while at the same time they access and utilize all the various services. And so I do not wish, I'm not advocating that the company not have a $79 enrollment. I will tell you that something over 80% of the time, if I enroll a new person, that's not the way that they'll join the business, because it won't work for them as quickly as the vast majority of people want it to work. But what was the point of all this? To give an assignment to do a complete total back office review. Have you done that? That's probably more important in our company right now than anything I've seen before. Why? Because hats off again to Orkan and Company. This is a remarkable technology group. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And the changes, improvements in the back office are dramatic, and they are near daily. So even if you knew the back office 10 days ago, I can tell you don't know it today. So I think that the assignment that I've always given over the course of my career is to review every single link since they became computerized, but to review every link in the back office over the course of the next 30 days. And that doesn't mean to sit down and review them all today, because it'll just become brain overload. But to, over the course of the next 30 days, spend 20 or 30 minutes a day in the back office, such that when your candidate or your team member asks you a question, you know the answer. And by the way that I do it is this. I realize that every single thing that I do or that you do is either going to create self-sufficiency or it's going to create dependence. If our behaviors create dependence, then what we have is a job, either a poorly paying job or a well-paying job. But if our behaviors are creating dependence upon us, that's what we have. We have a job. Essentially, we're a customer service agent. If, on the other hand, our process is not just encouraging, but in fact requiring other people to become self-reliant instead of dependent, then we have a business model. Then we're building something that we can actually have equity and that we can step away from sometime and have the income continue to turn at some degree, maybe to 100% degree, maybe to 75 or 85% degree. That depends on how effectively we've been able to create, craft, and structure and build a leadership organization. Remember, the art and essence of our business is this. It is to recruit. We have no one to teach unless we recruit. It is to recruit. That, of course, is an outcome of a series of daily business building behaviors. We recruit, we then train. Recruit, train, we then retain. People ask me so frequently, will you help me enroll more people? Nobody ever asks me how to keep the ones they've got. Folks, real simple. From this moment forward, consider that your most important candidate in your business is the ones who are already in it. Your most important candidates are your existing members. Let it be that there's no hole in the bottom of the bucket. Let it be that we retain people forever. Recruit, train, retain, and then fully transfer the baton of knowledge and leadership to somebody else. Let it be that each time we bring a new person into the business, that is in addition to the last person we brought into the business, not to replace someone who joined us at some time earlier along the way. Let us build a business of addition, not a business of replacement. That will be dependent upon our effectiveness in transferring the baton of knowledge and leadership. Recruit, train, retain, and then fully transfer the baton of knowledge and leadership to somebody else. Next, we come to step number 5. Step number 5 is what? Step number 5 is to build belief. Build belief in what? Build belief in the direct selling industry. Build belief in the correctness. You've heard me state many times that the fundamental principles governing the direct selling industry are superior to those which govern conventional business. And see, I believe that. I don't just believe it, I know that to be the truth. If you are insecure, I have so many people, they're insecure about the business. What an amazing model this is. The direct selling industry has the unique ability to provoke feelings of profound insecurity among even the most secure people. Why? Because that is born of ignorance. If you truly know and understand the principles which govern the direct selling industry, they are superior to the principles which govern conventional business. And I could spend now an hour or 2 or 3 describing all of that to you. See, I know that is true. Why? Well, is it or is it not better to get rewarded for other people's success? Isn't that better than just getting paid for what we do ourselves? Well, yeah, it is. Isn't it better to earn income around the clock instead of earning income only during the hours that we work? Yeah, it's better. Isn't it better to have the model be such that instead of jealously clinging to a rung on the ladder, imagine that I'm the CEO of a company and you're the president. Don't try to knock me off my rung. Not until I'm good and ready to get off it. The CEO will do anything he can to repress the president and keep the president right where he or she belongs until the CEO is ready to move on. And that just goes on downhill. The president does what? Well, he suppresses or she suppresses the vice presidents. Don't try to get on my rung, buddy. If you try too hard, you'll find yourself outside looking for another job. And the vice presidents, they're doing what? They're repressing the associate vice presidents and so on. This is the only business model I've ever seen where if you want it, what I would like nothing more would be to help you occupy the same rung on the ladder that I'm on. What if by some act of God, it became such that you were able to occupy a higher rung on the ladder than me? That would be the single greatest evidence of success in leadership. Recruit, train, retain, and then fully transfer the baton of knowledge and leadership to somebody else, such that if we're not working, nobody else even knows. That is counterintuitive. It requires that we become willing to take the spotlight off ourselves, put the spotlight on somebody else. That's a leadership development principle, not something I'm talking about today. This is about getting started. Step number 5, your belief must be constructive, positive, as it relates to the industry of network marketing, as it relates to our company, as it relates to you as a person, as it relates to the organization that you're a part of, to our product offerings and so on. And so, were this your individual new member orientation, I'd now give you a series of assignments to build your belief. But simply put, they would include a request that you watch one video per day for the next 100 days that would teach you something about our compensation plan or about our product offerings, that would teach you something about the way that our compensation plan works, that would teach you something about this proved and predictable pattern of activities. I'll give you an assignment to watch one video per day for the next 100 days. Remember, I asked you, I posed the question of, do we tend to hear more about help me recruit more people, or do we hear more about help me retain the ones I've got? Folks, I just gave you one of the keys. A person who watches one video per day, and by the way, it's very, very easy to take a correct principle, build belief, watch one video per day, and turn that into incorrect behavior, avoidance behavior, sitting around watching videos all day, which produces nothing. If the video's 2 or 3 minutes long, well, 2 or 3 of them a day is okay. If the video is 30 minutes long, one a day is more than enough. But a person who watches one video per day for the next 100 days will still be here 100 days from now. That's the truth. And a person who doesn't may not be. That's also the truth. Now, let's talk about these first five steps. What talent or skill does it take to enroll and create a mental and emotional barrier of exit and read it aloud each day? It takes no talent. It takes no skill. It takes little understanding, which now you've got. But it takes no talent. It takes no skill. What does it take? It simply takes willingness. What talent or skill is required to ascertain what would be an appropriate initial order for you? I will tell you an appropriate initial order for almost everyone in the United States who joins our business is an annual membership. That's an appropriate initial order. We're joining a business here, folks. We are starting our own company. This is not a hobby. If it's a hobby, then do whatever you want to do. But this is not a hobby for me. And so the correct positioning is an annual membership for almost all. And then the correct positioning is to acquire not just products for our own consumption, but acquire products so that we have those to sample, display, and so that we can evidence to other people that if you do these series of things, then you'll turn up the income wheel quickly enough that this can become a primary source of income in the relatively near term, closer term future. So does it take any talent or skill to place an appropriate initial order? No. It takes some knowledge and understanding, and then it takes willingness. Does it take any talent or skill to make your runway 12 months long as a minimum? No. It takes a little bit of understanding and willingness. Does it take any talent or skill to review the back office so that when your candidate or your new mayor asks you a question, you know where to find it instead of stumbling and stammering? No, it takes exactly no talent or skill. It takes just willingness, that's all. And does it take any talent or skill to watch a video every day for the next 100 days, 3.5, 4 minutes long, to keep your belief level? You just imagine a bucket. Imagine I had a bucket full of water and I put the bucket outside on my deck and there's no hole in the bucket. A couple of days from now, it'll be empty anyway. Why? It'll evaporate. Belief is the same way. Why would the belief evaporate? Well, we live in a society that there's a lot of bad news out there. And every time we watch some bad news, a little bit of our belief about the goodness of humanity goes away. And that changes our willingness and eagerness in a subconscious way to engage in a business that's basically about people. What if we get a little bit ill? What if we get a little bit ill? Well, even though it had nothing to do with our business, the very fact that we don't feel quite as well would cause that belief to get a little bit lower in the bucket. What if we have a little bit of relationship strife? That happens, doesn't it, in all relationships somewhere along the way? That would cause the belief to be lower. You see, there doesn't even have to be a hole in the bottom of the bucket for the bucket to ultimately get too low, to have the belief be constructive enough that one acts spontaneously and effervescently. If one is acting spontaneously and effervescently, there's nothing easier in the world than our business. If you're a little bit afraid of what we're doing because you don't believe that you got something to offer somebody else, well, then that same business that could be so remarkably easy can be not just difficult, but bordering upon impossible. What if your belief is so constructive and so positive, it's just overflowing? Then you see you don't ever have to approach anybody. You don't. They will sense in you the joy of success, the joy, the enthusiasm where we're going. The truth is that most people that I enroll find me. Now that doesn't change the fact that I've worked and worked and worked, and I require of myself that I stay sharp in the very most basic business building behaviors that you as a newcomer will have to have. But once those skills are fully developed and practiced for a period of time, to the extent those skills are married to proper character attributes, most people that I enroll, they search me out. I don't have to look very hard for them. That's not going to happen immediately for you, but that can happen in the not too distant future. Not too distant. What does that mean? 3 to 5 years. I understand. It is not an overnight project. That's not what it is. Well, if our belief is high, and now we've identified that these first five, these require absolutely no talent or skill. What they require is a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of willingness. There's those first five. Now we come to the action items. Think about it for a moment. If our belief is high, step number 6 is a preliminary activity, is simply creating a candidate list. Just write down a list of names. Anybody can do that. If you believe that what we have is good for other people, anybody can write down a list of names. That's an activity. It is, however, a skill to learn to so live our lives so that our candidate list is perpetually growing in front of us and coming toward us. We could spend a lot of time on that subject tonight, and I don't have time for that right now. I want to tell you what the steps are, and those who are so inclined, then I'll be happy to teach you how to execute those steps. But for the starting, let's just say that it is a simple activity to write down a list of names. It is a skill to learn to so live our lives so that our candidate list is continually growing in front of us and, in fact, gravitating toward us. And that's what I've just described. Most of the people that I enroll, they come towards me. They knock on my door. I don't have to knock upon theirs. Now that's 33 years in. It's been going on for quite a while, but I had to learn first how to access those people who were not coming to me. I had to find a way to get to them. Learning to live our life in such a way that a candidate list grows in front of us is the single most important skill. Why? Because if the candidate wants to be in business with you, then all of the pressure is off the invitation. That, by the way, is the next skill. There are 4 simple skills required to really succeed in our business. The first skill is to know how to grow a candidate list so that we don't run out of people to talk to. I don't advertise. I don't pay-per-click. I've never done that stuff. I am one of the most prolific recruiters in the entire network marketing industry. I have been forever. For the last 20 years, I've been keeping track of this. And the average length of time between one enrollment and the next enrollment personally, once every 6 days, now for more than 20 years, once every 6 days on average, I personally enroll a new member. Now, doesn't logic tell you that I probably contacted everybody I knew 30 years ago, and again 20 years ago, and again 10 years ago, and again last year? Yes, of course. And so the magic of living a life in such a way that a candidate list is growing in front of us, that takes all the pressure off of everything else. If I have not yet learned how to live my life in such a way so that candidates are gravitating towards me, then there is enormous pressure on the skill of knowing how to invite. That simply means knowing what to say and knowing what not to say so that our candidate opens their eyes, their ears, and their hearts to the possibility. If we don't master the art of the invitation, and I can tell you exactly what the outcome is, here's what happens all around the industry in our company. Here I have my typical new member. And he or she is all excited. We'll make this one a girl. She's all excited. Put a skirt on her there, some heels. There we go. And so here's my typical new member. She's all fired up. And over here is my typical new member's candidate. And he or she, they don't know if they're excited or not. They don't know what they should be excited about. And so my typical new member, who has absolutely no knowledge or understanding of how to invite, they come rushing towards the candidate. I am so excited about this. Folks, it doesn't matter what you're so excited about. We need to find out what this person's excited about. Just the simple, most basic thing. I am so excited about so-and-so. So what? You'd be so good at my business. So what? Our candidate doesn't care what we are excited about, and our candidate doesn't care about our business. Our candidate cares about him or her and their family and their financial future. That's what they care about. So we have to learn how to master the art of the invitation. The first step of mastering the art of the invitation is learning how to listen. But here's the way it normally goes for my typical new member who has not developed an inviting skill. Typically, the member calls the candidate, they approach them, they're all excited about a new business. And the candidate goes, that's kind of cool. I like business. Tell me this, how much money are you making? Well, I'm not making any. I'm brand new. Oh, that's curious. You want me to join you in a business and you're making no money? Hmm, kind of a steep hill. Well, tell me this, how much do you know about it? Oh my gosh, I was on 3 corporate Zooms. I don't know much. Can you teach me how to do it? I don't know how to do it. I've not enrolled my first person. Well, then why should I enroll you? I want you to understand this, or why should I allow you to enroll me? Why should I join your business? If and when you master the art of the invitation, then you can know that your candidate will see the opportunity being offered. Until such time as you master the art of the invitation, your candidate will almost without question default to your results. Remember back here at step number 6, almost no one learns how to grow a candidate list. They only learn how to write down a handful, 5 or 6 people. And so 2 of them say yes and 4 of them say no. And now they go to those 4 and help them find their 6. And then they go to theirs. And the process continues. Very, very narrow, shallow organizations, because almost no one develops the skill of learning how to live our lives in an intentional way, such that our candidate list is constantly growing in front of us and ultimately moving towards us. Well, until such time as that occurs, then we need to understand that our candidate will focus on our result, because almost no one learns how to grow a candidate list. Almost all recruiting or candidate calls are made by brand new people. That means that almost all candidates are approached by someone who's not making any money, doesn't know much about it, and doesn't know how to do it. And so is it too big a surprise that not too many of them enroll very many folks? No, it would be shocking to me if something other than that happened. If, on the other hand, if you master the art of invitation, then your candidate will see the opportunity being offered and your results will be insignificant in his or her decision. So what is the opportunity being offered? Well, the opportunity being offered is the legitimate chance to work for a season and get paid well after that season, to work for a while and get paid for a longer while. It's part of the opportunity being offered. The opportunity being offered is the chance, I believe, to develop an income stream that can take on a 24-hour basis, because they have a chance to work multinationally. What else is the opportunity being offered? It's an opportunity to have a complete, total, absolute financial breakthrough for those who are willing. I'm confident saying that's part of the opportunity being offered, because that's been part of my experience in this industry. What is the opportunity being offered? It's the opportunity to gather knowledge, develop skills and character attributes that positively impact every other part of our life. Well, gosh, if our candidate sees the opportunity being offered, they're going to want to know more. They're going to say yes. If the candidate instead only sees the results of the one offering the opportunity, one who has not learned how to grow a candidate list, now a person who by definition is not making any money, they don't know much about it, and they don't know how to do it, well, now you got a real problem, don't you? Master the art of the invitation. The starting point of mastering the art of the invitation is to listen for the next 90 days in a row, to mastering the art of the invitation. Once per week, paying attention. The other 6 times, background noise. You're going to the gym, you're on the treadmill, you're walking the dog, you're preparing dinner, you're taking the kids to school, you're picking them up, you're doing the wash, you're doing the laundry, whatever it is. Background noise, once per week, paying attention. The rest of the time, background noise. See, I want it to be like this. Imagine for a moment that we now brought into this conversation a brand new piece of music that neither you nor I have ever heard. You've never heard it, I've never heard it. We hear it one time, and we don't hear it again for 90 days. 90 days later, we come back together. And so, well, do you remember the hymn, the beat, the melody, the artist, the genre? Well, no, I heard it one time 90 days ago. Exactly. What if on the other time you'd heard it every day for the next 90 days? You would be humming it when you wish you could forget it. I want it to be like that. I want it to be that you recognize when someone is asking you for help in NELO Life. People knock on my door all day, every day. They don't come rushing towards me and say, Randy, I need to be involved in NELO Life. No, they say other things. They say things like, my daughter's getting married. Oh, okay. That's important information for me. I can make myself a little note of that. 2 or 3 weeks later, I can make a phone call, or I can pop in and see that man or woman. I can say, you know what? I remember when you told me your daughter was getting married. I saw the joy in your eyes. And I also saw what looked like a hint of fear, because weddings cost a lot of money, don't they? If you'd like, I can send you a 3 or 4 minute video that would show you how I funded my daughter's wedding and the education of their children and so on. Would you like me to send you a 3.5 minute video? And you see, that was a combination of knowing how to grow a candidate list, listening, knowing what to say and what not to say, so the candidate opens their eyes, their ears, and their hearts to possibility. Not about something I want, but about showing them how to do something they want within the context of our business. When one develops the skills, when one has the basic knowledge, then develops the skills and the character attributes so that one can sense the correctness and the goodness of the intent of the one offering the opportunity, then this becomes about the easiest thing you have ever done. Step number 7 is to master the art of the invitation. And once again, I could spend a couple of hours on just that. This is a synopsis of a correctly constructed new member orientation. Step number 7 is to master the art of the invitation. Step number 8 is to learn to present the business in a fashion that can and does duplicate itself. And that is why in recent days you've heard Samantha and I introducing the anti-aging and pro-cognition product showcases where everything is so carefully scripted. One need only read the script, literally read the script. And even if you know the script as well as I know it, I want you to read it, because in so doing, the candidates in the room, they suddenly say, well, wow, this person's just reading the script and push and play on a couple of videos. I could do that too. And so you see, if we've developed a fairly highly refined skill of learning how to live our lives so that our candidate list grows in front of us, then we don't have to have 2 tremendously developed invitation skill. If we don't have this skill well defined, then this one must be extremely well defined. If this skill and this skill are well defined, then all of the pressure is off the presentation, all of it. Then it's the easiest thing you've ever done. But as these skills are being refined, that is why it is requisite that one learn how to present the business in a fashion that can duplicate. Here, I would encourage you to watch the video called Home Business Review Basics. I'd have you watch another one called Home Business Review Format. Understand that there is, in fact, a proved and predictable pattern of activities. There is no luck and there is no guesswork. If we do A, we will get B, and if we do B, we will get C. And the more highly developed our skills become and our character, then the multiplier will be put onto the positive result of those outcomes. And so we learn to present the business in a fashion that can duplicate. A real leader, and I'm careful because I don't ever describe myself as a real leader, but a real leader is one who would do it with you. Were I enrolling you today, I would say, great, in your new member orientation, let's schedule your first couple of events. Let's schedule the first times for you and I to spend an afternoon meeting with people one-on-one or two-on-one at a coffee shop. Let's spend a time when we can invite a handful of people over to your home. Let's pick a time when we can do these various mechanisms of the environments where we can present the business, and then I would do it with you. You are part of the opportunity. Do it with your new member. Don't tell them how to do it. Don't even just show them how to do it. Do it with them. Do it together with them. In so doing, we completely take the fear out of the mechanism. And fear is an unattractive emotion. Fear can't be hidden. Fear is evident. You can slice it up and stack it in blocks. If a person comes to a presentation, they sense the fear of the host or the hostess, they have no interest because they don't want to do something that makes them afraid. Most important skill of all the skills, learning to live our life in such a way that our candidate list grows in front of us. Until that skill is highly refined, mastering the art of the invitation. Critically important. If we don't master the art of the invitation, our candidate will focus on our results. Because we haven't yet learned how to grow a candidate list, our results will be small. If that's what they see, they're not going to join us. We must master the art of the invitation such that our candidate sees the opportunity being offered, no longer focusing on our own results. We must then work to master the skill of growing a candidate list such that we ultimately one day take the pressure off of the invitation and someday one day take the pressure off of the presentation. And then step number 9 is learn how to do new member orientations in a fashion that gives our new member the greatest possible chance of doing what I call winning the race to profitability. That means getting their money back inside 60 days and being profitable the 3rd month. New member orientation for me is similar to what you're doing now, except this could not be anyone's new member orientation. Why? Because I'm talking to a camera and not to you. I don't know a darn thing about your goal. I don't know what your initial order was. I don't know all of those things. And so this then is a vanilla version. It needs to be spiced with the unique knowledge of who you are and what you want. So once again, this cannot be your new member orientation. This can be a framework. And now one needs to go back through each one of these steps with a knowledgeable sponsor coach, someone in the upline who can personalize this for you. And step number 10 then is to do new member orientations along the process that I've described to you. If you're brand new, you don't have to know this stuff, do you? Why? Well, because this is becoming a recorded link. You could meet with your brand new enrollment tomorrow, and you together could go through the 10 steps, because you could watch step number one, and you could then push pause and say, okay, let's complete your enrollment. Let's complete your enrollment and make sure there's an annual enrollment. And by the way, before we click out of this, let's go ahead and see what it means to place an appropriate initial order. Place an appropriate initial order. Watch the video, push pause, place an appropriate initial order. The 12-month smart ship, it's already done. Why? Because up here, what did we do? We made certain that our new member was joining with an annual membership. And so we didn't have to worry about this. In the unfortunate event that someone joins us and it's not an annual member, well, then there's going to be some further dialogue about this 12-month runway. Step number 4, nothing could be easier than opening up your back office and just saying, look, there's a lot of links here. Look how many links there are. Let it be that 30 days from now, you've been through them all. Step number 5, in our company, there are so many beautiful resources already made available. Give a simple assignment, and the assignment, that which is measured, can be improved. Keep an ongoing record of each of these, because then I can help you more. Step number 6, create a preliminary candidate list. Write down a list of 7 to 15 names that we can simply meet with in our first couple of weeks in the business. And I like to reframe what is the primary purpose of those presentations. The primary purpose is for you to experience. The effect may or may not be that somebody joins. That's not the point of your first presentations. The point of your first presentations is that you experience them, and that comes from the doing. You can gather knowledge listening to me talk, but none of you are developing skill right now. No, you're not. You develop skill by acting upon the knowledge that is gained. And so I would encourage you to reach out to a member of your upline organization and say, I'm going to be scheduling my first 2 home business reviews in the next 14 days. I need you to help me. Are you able to be there with me person to person? Oh, you're not? Well, who's the next person in the upline you can introduce me to? I need somebody to be with me in my living room 2 weeks from now. Oh, he's not? Well, who's the next person in the upline you can introduce me to? You will find somebody who's willing to invest himself or herself in your success. And that will be teaching you that someday, one day, you'll need to be willing, not just willing, but eager and filled with joy, the concept, the prospect of participating in someone else's success. Well, step number 10 is simply to take action. Simply to take action, having given a series of assignments that go here. And that action will do what? That action will lead us to, and I'll wrap this up quickly, I know that I've used up all of my time, but that will then lead us to the mechanism of operation. I've described to you the 10 steps to getting started, but now we need to tighten that up a little bit and turn it into a daily mechanism of operation. And this is done in what I call the ladder of escalation. When I say I call that, let me rephrase this. What I was taught so many years ago by a gifted leader was the ladder of escalation. It goes like this. A ladder leaning up against the wall. The first rung on the ladder of escalation is when I utilize a properly constructed script to let a tool talk. So I've developed a candidate. Having developed a candidate, I've listened to what the candidate has interest in. I then craft a properly constructed script that is about him, not about me, or about her, not about me. It is short, it is concise, it never includes flattery, it always includes the compliment. An example would be, gosh, Joe, when we were at Bass last Sunday in the parking lot, I saw the look in your eyes when you talked about the grandchild who had just been baptized. And I remember you saying what it would be worth to you to provide education for that child. Man, I remember what that felt like. Thank God I've been able to do a lot of those kinds of things. If you'd like, I can send you a 3-minute video. Now, you see, I don't jump through the hoop at the moment that the door is open. I let it season, because it's magic. It is magic. I remember the look in your eye. I remember the look on your face when we interacted some time ago. You said this, and I've not been able to forget it. I might have a mechanism for you. It's worked for me. If you'd like, I can send you a 3-minute video. It will help you understand what this is. And if it provokes further interest, we can talk about it. That's utilizing a properly constructed script to let a tool talk. And by the way, I have things about the business I like and things about the business that I don't like. One thing that I don't like is that sometimes I feel like I am being chased. I don't like to feel like I am being chased, and I don't feel like I'm chasing somebody else. And so if your name is Jim, I say, you know what, Jim, I remember this experience. I remember what you said. I've not been able to forget the look on your face. I found something that allowed me to do what you expressed that you would like to do. If you'd like, I can send you a 3-minute video and we can talk about it thereafter. And then, Jim, John, Sue, Sally, upon review of that material, you let me know if you'd like to continue the conversation. Just like that, I disarmed this thing of chasing people. If after you watch this simple video, only going to be 3.5 or 4 minutes long. If you want to know more, you let me know. Now there's no such thing as walking into a room and having somebody divert their gaze. No such thing as you destroying a circle of influence and friends, ghosting you. No, because I'm not going to chase them. I told them, in fact, that I'm not going to call them back. After you review this, you let me know if you'd like to have a further conversation. Man, that's liberating. That's absolutely liberating. And so, because I've mastered the art of the invitation or gone a long ways towards it, because I know how to create a candidate list that grows in front of me. In my own case, 80% of the time, the person says, well, sure, I want to hear more. I want to hear more. Now the fortune is in the follow-up. If I follow up after this first exposure, I am chasing. That's what it feels like to me. It's what it feels like to them. If I let them know after you've reviewed it, you let me know if you want to continue the conversation. When they then hit the ball back across the net, as I describe it, now the fortune is in the follow-up. Now I get into full-blown professional follow-up mode to get this across the finish line, to get it done, so I can now help them begin to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. When they've said, yes, I want to know more, now I send a second video exposure. This was 3 or 4 minutes long. This one would be chosen from our entire library based upon who the individual is. It doesn't matter what the video is so much, it's the process that matters. And so it might be one that has something to do more with the product. It might be one that has something to do more with the compensation plan. It might be one that has more to do with the process. It might be one that has more to do with any one of our various product offerings. I don't know that because I can't imagine who this individual is just in advance and blank. And so now I send a second video. And when the person opts in twice, they watch the first video, then they ask for the second, they watch it, there is now a 100% chance that they're going to join me. Not 99, 100%. They're going to join me. When are they going to join? This week, this month, 6 months? I don't know. But they're going to join me. I have a long vision. It doesn't matter to me so much when they join me because I'm doing this all of the time. Somebody's always joining me, an average of once every 6 days. I personally enroll somebody. I'm not under too much stress and pressure about when somebody joins because somebody else is going to. And when somebody else does, that will then put me into the mode of helping them with new member orientations, helping with their first presentations. I'm in no hurry for the next person to say, Randy, you want to do this? Because I've got to fulfill my obligations as a responsible sponsor with the one I just enrolled before I'm too concerned about that. And always, inevitably, without question, somebody else enrolls about the time that I'm finishing with my new member orientation with the prior. And the wheel just continues to turn. Now, having opted in after watching one simple video or listening to an audio, they opt in after watching the next. That is when I invite them to the home business review, or what we may be calling the anti-aging and pro-cognition product showcase, either one interchangeable. It's a matter of, is the primary initial focus on the income generating opportunity or on the product generating opportunity? The candid truth is I am so comfortable teaching people about the business that it doesn't matter to me. Many people, until such time as they're making money, almost can't say the words, join me in this business. And so for those people who struggle with introducing a business concept when they themselves don't yet have success, then it should default to a product idea where everyone can have success the first day. And that then is supported by, and by the way, if you'd like to know about the income opportunity as a result of being an affiliate, well, there's a royalty generating possibility as well. Now they come to the home business review. These are not being done by and large in our company. They're not being done. And the result is that new leadership is not being developed. That's what happens. If you don't have home business reviews, private small group presentations, then new leadership is not developed. That is the principal method of new leadership emergence in this entire industry, and it always will be. When you see someone who's a gifted speaker, they stand on stage and they can command an audience of thousands of people. Do you suppose that just happened? They just stepped out of the audience one day and they were on stage? No, it happened because they did 50 and then 100 and then 200 and then 400 small presentations in somebody's living room, small presentations in a coffee shop, 1 and 2 and 3 people at a time. It was a gradual progression. Then they were invited on stage at the regional event. Then they were invited on stage at the national event. See, the skill to do comes from the doing. It's an experiential process. The outcome that you will get first before money is becoming. Learn, grow, develop, become. That precedes income. It precedes income. Income does not precede the development process. The primary development process is you taking ownership of your business, not being a part of mine, but taking ownership of your business, conducting a series of home business reviews, private small group presentations, whatever you want to call them. And then the next rung on the ladder is what? A person participated in a home business review. The next rung on the ladder is to participate in a new member orientation. In the home business review, they're taught almost entirely what the business is, but they're not taught what they'll need to do to become successful in the business. In the new member orientation, we take them through this series of steps and remind them of their own progression through those steps that resulted in them participating. We're showing them exactly what's going on. You're in this process as we speak. Do new member orientation. What's the next rung on the ladder of escalation? It is the open business presentation. In the home business review, what did I have? I had one host or hostess, and maybe I'm lucky to have one member of the upline organization there. They might all be brand new. There might not be anybody there making any money. And my candidate is seeing 6 or 7 people. Now, they need to be invited to an environment where they can further do what? Build their belief. That's the open business presentation. Now they say, oh my gosh, look, there's attorneys here, there are doctors here, and there are truck drivers here, and there are carpet layers here, and there are. And you know what? They all seem to be succeeding and have a positive experience. They're doing well. Now, very frequently, like all the time, people start on this rung of the ladder. That's where they start, right there. They invite their candidate to come to the open business presentation for their very first look. Well, let me ask you a question. If I try to put my leg on a ladder, if I try to put my foot on a ladder that's leaning against a wall, and I don't put it on the first rung, the second, the third, or the fourth, I try to put my foot on the fifth rung of the ladder. How do you suppose that's going to work? Do you suppose I'm going to get to the top of the ladder, or do you suppose I'm going to fall down? I'm going to fall down, and that's what everybody does who views this as the way to introduce their candidate to the business. And by the way, it is really, really important to understand this basic logic. Every next look must be superior to the prior look. And so if this is a 3-minute video, well, a 20-minute video is a superior look. If these were both digital and this is in person, now it's not just watching a video, but it is participating with someone in a live conversation. That's superior. So this is better than this, and this is better than this, and this is a continuation of knowledge and understanding, which makes it better. And now we come here. Well, what do we see? My gosh, there's a doctor here, and there's a person who had a remarkable experience with Stellamar, and there's a person who's had an incredible experience with the gummies, and a person who had an incredible experience with these variety of things in the e-commerce site. Here's a person who just saved $1,500 on a cruise. Here's a person who saved $2,000 last month on travel. On we go. This becomes an overwhelmingly positive experience. But now, what if that's the first look? What if that is where it starts instead of here? Then what's the next look going to be? Now you saw some leadership figure that showed up there that was good in front of the audience. They knew what they were doing. You saw all these proofs of success. That was your first look. Now what's the second look? The second look is talking to your proposed enroller who doesn't know a darn thing. They haven't made any money. The second look is worse. If the second look is worse, is insufficient, the second look is not an improvement over the first look, progress stops. I'm not telling you something I think, I'm telling you something I know. That's the way that it is. Every next look must be superior to the prior look as we guide a person steadily and methodically to his or her point of logical conclusion. And people have asked me throughout my career, Randy, will you help me close my candidate? No, I will not help you close your candidate. Why won't I? Because I know what it feels like to try to be closed. I walk into a car dealership and they practically follow me home, trying to close me. Get you into this closing room. They even call it that. What does it mean to be closed? It means that we're trying to convince somebody to do something we want them to do instead of something they want to do. It means we're trying to get them to decide when we want them to, not when they want to. And we're trying to get them to spend more money than they want to because that raises our commission. That's horrible. No, I will not help you close your candidate. What I will do is show you how to steadily, gracefully, and correctly guide your candidate through a proved and predictable pattern of activities, which results in him or her arriving at their point of logical conclusion, whatever it is. And once they arrive at that point of logical conclusion, which may be I'm going to do nothing, it may be I'm going to use your products, it may be I'm going to do the business part-time, it may be let's go, any one of those things. I want to help each person, I want to guide each person through a proved, predictable pattern of activities, which allows each one to arrive at his or her logical conclusion. And I want to do that in the shortest period of time. Why? Because the time asset is our most precious asset. It's the one thing that we cannot call back. We cannot improve. It's just what it is. Well, after the open business presentation, now comes the regional event. And after the regional event, now comes the national event. And after that comes the international convention. That's the ladder of escalation. The 10 steps to getting started are here. The ladder of escalation is here. There remains one very, very important contributor to our long-term success, and that being the development of a leadership structure leadership development. That is not something that must be addressed at all in the new member orientation. Now, once again, I want to reiterate that the things that I've described to you cannot be your personal new member orientation. I will also tell you that if any of you would like to be in the focus group, I've already had the first session, but not the first training, where I simply outlined the rules. If you'd like to join the focus group, you're welcome. You can be in my group. You don't have to be in my group. What you do have to do if you want to be in the focus group is become an annual member. And if you have not already done so, you must acquire one of the value packs. It need not be the largest one. You've heard my emphasis on executive pack. It can be the one that's appropriate for you. If you would like to join the focus group, you may still do so up until Sunday. Sunday is the end of that door being open, because that will be the first training for that group. And once that training begins, then no one will be added into the session until 90 days have gone by. And then I may or may not have yet another focus group. It's not something that I do all the time. It's very time consuming and it takes a whole bunch of emotional energy. But I think the timing is right in our company. I have a desire to prove to the world, not to me because I already know, but I have a desire to prove to the world that NELO Life is special, but that in order for us to harvest the value of that special nature of NELO Life, we have to go all the way back to square one, and we have to do what's always worked in the industry. And don't tell me, Randy, things have changed. Of course they have changed. They've changed every day since I got in the industry. What hasn't changed is the magnitude of the opportunity. And what hasn't changed is the correctness of any principle that I've just described to you. These are not some things that it's not things that I think, the things that I know. I frequently laugh about it. I say, God played a trick on me. He put me on this earth to do network marketing. I don't seem to know anything else, but I know this. I know it about as well as anyone you're ever going to encounter. I can show you, and to some degree have just shown you, how to not waste time, effort, energy, and money. To some degree, I've just shown you in a very, very surface way. I've shown you how to assure that your income is predicated on the widespread successes of other people. And I have shown you a pattern of activities that will result in you developing leadership characteristics. Now, that's not the same as leadership development. When one participates in this process, you gather knowledge, develop skills. Something else that happens over here in terms of character development. My time is spent. I probably spent more time on here than any of you really wanted me to. Once again, I want to reiterate that for the focus group participants, if you happen to be seeing this, this in no way replaces the deep dive into each one of those steps. We need to understand not just what the step is, we need to understand what is the implication of proper execution and what is the downside of improper execution. There's a whole lot more meat we need to put on the bones for those of you who really, really, really want to go somewhere. But I want you all to know there is no reason to struggle in our company, literally no reason. Because while not everyone can be a participant in a focus group, everyone gets free access to every other thing that I do, except those periodic focus groups. And you can find it on my YouTube page. You can find it on my Facebook page. Not hard to figure out where I am and what I'm doing because I publish it also freely. So that being said, I will close this by simply reminding you all of this. If you don't believe that you can do this, replace your lack of belief with my knowledge. I know that you can. You say, well, Randy, how can you know that? You don't know me. I just know. I know because for whatever reason, a kind and loving God, for his, or if you prefer her own purposes, has chosen to grace you with the talents that are required to succeed. It's true. Our talents are different. They are varied. That's why teams must come together, because none of us have all of the talent, all of the skill, and all the character attributes. It's when we marry ours or blend ours together with others to create a leadership structure where everybody can feel at home. But I know the kind and loving God, for his or her own purposes, chose to grant you, to grace you with those talents. That's good news. The bad news is those talents don't make any money, and they don't benefit any other people unless we become willing to work and work and work and work and work and work and work to refine those talents into skills which become beneficial to others. When we refine our talents into skills which become beneficial to others, we then become willing to be confronted by others and to confront ourselves, to knock the rough edges off of our character such that other people would seek to be in association with us. That is the shortest way home to cause the pressure on skills to go down, giving one ample time. Work first on character, second on skills. The truth is the truth. It's good enough. Dr. Martin Luther King said many years ago, famously, the time is always right to do right. And I've said far less famously, you can't get the right outcome by doing the wrong thing. And so since we seek the right outcome, let's do the right thing at all times, subordinating our success to the successes of other people. And I encourage you all to join me in this knowledge. This is a gift. It is. NELO Life is a gift within the network marketing industry. The network marketing industry, when one understands it, is superior to conventional business. You are the catalyst. You are the catalyst that causes that gift to become a tangible reality to other people. And I encourage you to take this day as an important day. Gather the knowledge, start today, developing the skills, start today, refining the character, determine for yourself what is it that's going to cause you to keep going when you run into an incredible bump in the road. What is that mental and emotional barrier of exit that is bigger than the obstacles you'll encounter? And if you take nothing else from me, understand this: $79 is not a benefit for our company. If you are a monthly member, upgrade to an annual member. If you've not yet acquired a value pack, acquire a value pack. Begin acting upon these principles. And to the extent that you would like to, please know that I believe it would be worth an absolute fortune to you to become a part of the focus group. A couple of requirements: become an annual member, acquire a value pack. And that's it. I wish you all a fantastic day. I look forward to seeing many of you in Mexico coming up. And folks, the future is bright, unbelievably so. Let's make it bright for other people, and there we'll find our joy. God bless everybody. Talk to you soon.